Hi, everyone. My name is Stephanie Livingston, and I'm with Glow Organization. We're here today to continue our discussion of highlighting the problems when it comes to differing weights and measures. Now, today I have a special guest. He's also my brother, Darren Wallace, retired senior warden with TDCJ. Darren is going to highlight the differing weights and measures issues as it relates specifically to the prison population and a special segment of the population very near and dear to my heart, people with mental health issues. Darren, thanks for being here.
Sure. There's no doubt that in Texas today, our criminal justice system is inundated with the mentally ill. A lot of pressure is put on police and prisons and their handling of mentally ill offenders. It's important to keep in mind, though, that prisons are the finish line. The people who are in prison have been involved with the criminal justice system or involved with schools at a lifetime worth of issues before they end up in prison. TDCJ is tasked with addressing those issues at the finish line to come up with a solution and fix it on the spot. TDCJ does an excellent job with what they're given. They have many fantastic mental health programs, including the Mental Health Therapeutic Diversion Program. We have 4 institutions that are specifically for mental health care for offenders.
Okay.
The problem with TDCJ's treatment of these offenders is legislative in nature. It's not administrative. It's not the agency. It is that the funding has not been available to adequately compensate correctional officers and to adequately train correctional officers in a way competitive with the rest of the Texas economy in order to lower attrition rates and retain the staff so that you have a more stable workforce who are experienced in working with those mentally ill offenders. For as long as you have an unstable workforce, you're going to continue to have problems dealing with those populations. And public pressure focuses on the prisons, whereas the real issue is at the beginning of the problem. There have been many points where this could have been identified prior to prison or involvement with the police.
So it takes a separate special training, I think you're saying, for the officers to be able to address the mentally ill population.
Dealing with a mentally ill offender is not necessarily the same as dealing with a non-mentally ill offender. It takes different kind of negotiation skills, would be a way to put it. Differing abilities to speak, to understand the cognitive differences between the two populations, and to be able to differentiate and de-escalate potentially violent situations.
That makes a lot of sense. And then when you have the problem of a lot of turnover, you train them and then they leave. Where does that leave you?
Exactly.
Right.
You start over repeatedly with a new crop of officers.
Okay. Well, is there any good news about this situation? Do you have any ideas on how to solve this problem?
I do have some ideas,
Okay.
and they are not necessarily prison related.
Oh,
They are
okay.
more legislative and community action related. In order to address this problem, you have to identify the individuals who are going to become involved in the criminal justice system earlier in life, childhood, adolescence. During those periods, they're already having interactions where people recognize something's different, something needs to be dealt with.
Right.
The problem I see is that we have elected officials who are career oriented rather than publicly oriented. They are not public service oriented in that they want a short-term solution that's not a solution. They want something they can point to that has good optics and looks good on the short term, but in the long run has no lasting benefit. To fix the problem, we need programs that will engage for a generation in order to start to see the difference. And that can be accomplished if people become involved in the electoral process, if you hold your elected officials accountable for what they do and what they don't do. There's also involvement in nonprofits or community action groups, but not things that just offer feel-good solutions like an after-school program where you do community service. It has to be more involved. It has to involve counseling at no cost to the participants, mentoring, tutoring to help them keep up academically.
Right. I hear what you're saying. And I think what you're talking about is results-based legislative initiatives.
Yes.
Okay. Well, let's stop there. We're going to wrap session up 1 with that. And then session 2, we'll talk more in depth about these results-based initiatives that you're talking about that we're so excited to hear about. Thanks, everyone.